So here is the Mosin Nagant PU sniper, 1943 Ishvisk, and some interesting features about this rifle. This is one of the most recent imports that have come into the country over the last 6 to 12 months, and the this rifle surprised me just a little bit simply because of the paint that has been put on the forestock of the barrel. It is significantly darker, and you can see where some of the paint is scraped off and the lighter wood is revealing itself underneath until we get to here, and then we're back to your conventional lacquer kind of finish. The rifle came to me from Marstar when they had them in, and I have to admit, when I pulled it out of the wrap, I was a little bit concerned. Wasn't really a Cosmoline situation. It was more of a whole bunch of stuff in the barrel, and it wasn't really Cosmoline, or there was some dried Cosmoline in there. But it all cleaned out, and to be honest, the barrel is really, really very good. Maybe a very, very light hint of frost, but overall the lines and grooves are very, very bright, very crisp, and quite satisfied with that. There is a couple of things about this rifle which you probably already know about, and that has to do with the way in which the numbers have been matched. All of the numbers on the rifle match, but the number on the scope does not. And apparently this is not atypical. Sorry, I'll just kind of get myself oriented in a different position here. But you can see here the number on the scope. Well, that has been matched to the rifle. Okay, so this is not the original scope for the sniper. This is an original sniper. But they have put on a new scope, or a different scope. It's not a new scope, but it is a 9130 scope, not an SVT 40 scope, like so many of them that we have seen come in. The bracket is H50 marked. Damn camera. And so overall, I'm quite pleased with the product. It shoots really, really well. Other things to tell you is basically that I was very, very pleased when I mounted the scope, took it out to the range, and just set the dials to 0. It was zeroed. I didn't have to shim. I didn't have to shave. I didn't have to do anything. The reticle is entered in the middle of the scope, and it's shooting bullseyes at 100 meters. So, wow, that was a very nice surprise. I was a little bit concerned about that, simply because it's such a pain in the butt trying to zero one of these scopes. It's not something I do on a regular basis, so it's nice to have one that worked out well. Sometimes it's nice to pay a little bit of money to get something that is going to you're not going to have these frustrations. But overall, I'm quite pleased, and we'll talk about philosophy of use in the next video. So here is the other platform that was being used in the shooting video, and it is not your conventional, or what people perceive to be your conventional target heavy barreled slash kind of long-range engagement rifle. However, it is a precision rifle. I would probably say, to borrow a phrase from Nut and Fancy, is that this particular Remington Model 700, chambered in 308, is about $700 for 700 meters. No, I'm saying meters because I'm Canadian and we're metric. But $700 for 700 meters. You can go out and get yourself your SPS 700 varmint, and you probably invested $700 for 700 meters. This particular platform is a heavy-barreled Remington that has been bedded, DevCon bedded into a LTR Police light tactical rifle stock with CDI precision, bottom metal with an Accuracy International magazines. Now, yes, these are aluminum bedded, aluminum block bedded rifles, but it has also been DevCon bedded into the aluminum block, just for extra rigidity. The optics that I'm using here are the 1:4 by 24 Hi-Lux CMR, and this particular model is the AK762-R. So this particular scope is not what you would probably perceive to be your conventional precision accuracy optical sight. But in the other videos that I have kind of attached to this one, we have seen how a little 3.4 by about 20 millimeter optical sight, which is the PU sniper sight, has done wonderful things out to about 1,000 meters. And we see that quite a bit from the ex-Soviet Komblock states, where they have used the PU snipers. They've used the SVD, Dragunov, or the Tiger, or whatever you want to call them. And they all use those very low power optical sights, and to great success. Now, these are not truly, in the sense of it, surgical precision rigs, more of an area shooting type of situation. And these scopes here, although they are made in China, they are actually a fairly high quality scope, which were made in partnership with U.S., European, and Chinese partners to make a scope for the tactical crowd. But it works well enough for me on my little carbine precision rig. Anyway, so a 20-inch barrel. It's you will see in the videos there's a fair amount of muzzle flash. Incidentally, a 26-inch barrel is quite heavy, and for my purposes, I like to have a rifle that has, actually, it may not necessarily be specialized in any one particular category, but will do very well over a broad range or spectrum of applications. One of which would be hunting, and the other one which would be packing. The third one would probably be consistent precision fire. And this may no longer be a 1,000-yard rifle, although I might be able to get something hit that 4-foot frame at 1,000 meters. But really, that's not why I built this thing. But we'll talk a little bit more of that in the video. Cheerio. So, interesting, the Russians and North Americans, or even Europeans in general, have a bit of a different kind of philosophy when it comes to their sniping rigs and our target rifles. Let's be politically correct. No, they're snipers. Um, but in my situation, simply because of my vocation and the type of hunting that I do, I like having a precision rig that it doesn't break your back at the end of the period. And so the carbine application starts to look pretty attractive to me at this point in time, simply because of the weight factor. You know, it's in a light tactical rifle stock, so that's kind of lightweight. It's got the heavy barrel on it, mind you, so we're retaining some level of precision, consistent, repeatable fire. Do you need that in a hunting rifle? No. If you're not doing it in the first 1, 2, maybe 3 shots, frankly, you're doing something wrong. But as a combination rifle, plinking, hunting, going out, having some fun, banging away, not having your groups open up or wander because you've got a heavier profile barrel, it's kind of a nice compromise in that regard. And in my neck of the woods, and that's where I am. I live in the forest, basically, up here in northwest British Columbia. When you're in the slash, when you're in the brush, long barrels get hung up real quick, and it gets pretty old pretty fast. And I think a lot of folks, when they buy their first precision rig, they get a little bit overwhelmed because of the weight and the cumbersome nature of those rifles when it comes to general purpose applications like hunting or plinking or trying some precision shooting. So if there was a hybrid of all of those values, philosophies of use, this is what I came up with. I was not really terribly impressed with the feeding of your regular Remington Model 700 with a conventional floor plate, internal box magazine. The SPS stocks, they work. Don't impress me though. But the LTR stock CDI bottom metal and Accuracy International magazines I like very, very much. And people out there that are designing the next Canadian Ranger rifle, this is kind of what I think you should be looking at. Possibly a lighter profile barrel than what I have here. You know, cost was an obvious player with the build of this rifle. Fluting, I'm not a big fluting guy. I don't really see a lot of use in fluting a barrel. But extra surface area and cooling and all this different stuff, maybe. But that's what heavy barrels are made for. Consistent precision shooting, and not having your groups open up because you've got the rigidity and the strength of the barrel. Getting back to my original point, and that's got to do with the applications of use. The differences between what the Russians have been doing with their Mosin Nagants and the SVD lines, their sniper platforms, is that they seem to be running these kinds of scopes. This is the Hi-Lux 1 to 4 by 24 close medium range tactical scope with half-minute adjustments. And the CMR reticle, which I like very much. And in many ways, the CMR reticle is very close to the SVD model with the range-finding reticle and the chevrons as being their aiming points. They've gone with a bit of a different system, but it's kind of similar in nature to the old Soviet Cold War systems, which do work. However, the Soviets designed rifles that were basically not surgical precision platforms, more area-based kind of shooting. You want to shoot your target, you're going to be able to put a hole in it at medium to long ranges, but it just may not be surgically placed. That's the philosophy they went with. North America seems to have gone along with, these are the kind of scopes that you want to put on your AR-15 or your C7 or your M16A2. These are the scopes that you put on those rifles, not on your precision rigs. So it's kind of a different adaptation of what the definition of sniper really is, and I think people get that kind of confused, in my interpretation anyways. So that's a bit of an interesting analysis. North Americans seem to have gone with scopes that start at 6 and work their way up, whereas the Soviets seem to kind of be in the 4 to 6 power max, maybe out 8 power. I think POSP scopes can go up between 4 to 8 power, but generally they're fixed scopes and don't have a lot of flexibility so far as a range of powers to go through. Whereas, well, North America and Western Europe kind of disagree with that philosophy. They want precision rigs, surgical precision, whereas Soviets want area shooting platforms. I'm more of the area shooting platform kind of guy. But that's for numerous reasons. One of them mainly is weight. The fact that I can sit here and hold this thing up in my left hand while I'm talking to you for this length of time kind of says, okay, maybe this lightweight stuff isn't such a bad idea. The optimal barrel length for the 308 Winchester, or 7.62 NATO, is about just under 22 inches. So I am losing, as you probably saw from the barrel flash, a little bit of wasted velocity, burnt out powder and whatnot. That's the compromise I made. And I probably should have gone with a 21 3/4 inch barrel. That seems to be the optimal length for the caliber, and for the suite of bullets that you can shoot through it. Something to consider for the future, though. But in the meantime, I'll stick with the 20 incher. I'm quite pleased with it. It's on a good day. This thing gives you amazing groups. On a bad day, if I'm not really paying attention, a 5/8 inch group, 3 rounds, 5/8 inch. It's pretty normal. It's pretty standard. 1/2 inch if I'm really working hard, and that's with this scope. Maxes out at 4 power. That's pretty reasonable, and it's something for you precision guys out there to consider in your sniper matches when you're engaging targets out to 1,000 meters. Well, this isn't really your platform. Different philosophy of use. Close to medium, with some applications out to long range. There's a lot of vertical adjustment on these scopes. I don't have a 20-minute down angle mounts on it. They're just standard Weaver bases, and 30 millimeter medium height Leupold rings. So we don't need to spend a heck of a lot of money on these rigs to get what we want out of them. $700 for 700 meters. That's a not fancy quote, and you know what? It's right. It's real. It works for me. However, there's a little bit more than $700 put into this rifle now, but you don't need to do those kinds of things. That's just the way I roll. So I know there's a lot of Nagant videos on YouTube, for good reasons, because they're affordable, they shoot good, they're very accurate. In many ways, I would say that these are much more accurate rifles than your conventional Lee Enfield. Not so much about the Springfield, couldn't tell you. They're probably on par. I don't have a lot of experience with the 1903 A1s, A2s or A3s, A4s. Anyways, Mosin Nagant, and I've said this before in previous videos, is very difficult to manipulate in this manner here, on when the hammer's down. Very difficult to manipulate. Cock on opening, unlike the Lee Enfield. Okay, so here's what the Mosin Nagant could do. There's a couple groups at 100 meters. Again, these are rapid fire groups. I'm not expecting anything that's going to be, miracle quality, but certainly satisfactory. The ammunition is mid 1960s cellular and bellow Czechoslovakian military surplus ammunition, and I've got some hand loads I want to try through it, see what we can do to tighten that up. Anyways, so there's the Mosin Nagant, and here's rapid fire groups from the Remington. Again, if I was a better shooter, we'd probably be able to do better here. However, this ammunition is actually stuff that I hand loaded for my M14, so it's pretty low pressure stuff. 150 grain full metal jacket boat tail Hornady. Not really designed for this ammunition. Again, better quality ammunition, better quality groups. I'm shooting at a steel gong that's about 8 inches across at 200 meters. You'll know when I hit it, like the last one. Out of 5